Hi, welcome to SBR TV. I'm Peter Loshek. This is our football openers show that we do every week with John Ryan here on SBR TV. Right now we're going to take a look at the opening lines from NFL Week 10, college football Week 11. John, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
All right, there's two lines that I want to ask you about just to start things off really quickly that people have already been debating online on the forums. The first one is Stanford at home against Oregon. Now, Stanford, of course, has covered every single game this year. It's like 9-0 or 10-0 against spread, something like that. And they opened at -3 at home against Oregon. Now, I bet that I hit that one pretty hard on opening. Now it's 3.5 -113 at Pinnacle, I see. But why do you think that line opened so low?
Pretty much, not being sarcastic, but Oregon's a pretty darn good team. And I also think there is a public sentiment now that you almost have to stay away from Stanford because they're due to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I admit that, like, the reason I bet it at first was not because I thought it was a good bet, but just because I thought that it was very likely to go up, that the line seemed low, and it did go up already this morning. Where do you think it's? Do you think it's going to move back down to 3 or under 3, or do you think it's going to go even higher, 5.5?
I think Peter will stay right around 4. I think we'll get to 4, and then that's pretty much where it'll sit. Again, it's almost analogous to an NFL game of even teams. And, like the Alabama-LSU game was a 4.5-point spread. The favorite was bid up.
Yeah.
And I think this is a similar situation.
All right, and then the other game people have been talking about is Texas A&M at Kansas State. Kansas State, of course, is ranked. They are a home dog. It opened, I think, at 5, went down to 4.5. Again, I bet that one at 4.5 just because I thought like the line was just too high and was going to go down. Now I see it's back up to 5. I mean, Kansas State, I think, is like 7-1 against the spread on the year. Texas A&M is 2-7 against the spread. So why is A&M more than a field goal favorite on the road?
That is a surprise line to me.
Yeah.
K-State. I don't know what to say about it, actually. I think that line's telling you that A&M might be the play.
You think? I mean, you think that line
it should be almost the direct opposite, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people have already
it's getting bid up.
People have already been discussing this on the forum. Some sharp guys have been saying that the line confuses them. They're wondering what's up with it. I have to think it's going to go closer to pick 'em by game time. What do you think? Or do you think it's going to stay here?
I have a gut feeling that maybe the public will look at this because this is so unusual and say, boy, there must be something up and somebody knows something.
Yeah. And then there's two other games that have similar lines. First one I want to ask about is Mississippi. They're an SEC team at home against Louisiana Tech. Opened at -1. That's another one I bet, not necessarily because I think it's a great bet to start, just because I thought the line would move. It hasn't moved yet. What do you think? What do you make of that line? Mississippi opening at home -1 against Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, that's a puzzling one too. I think you did the right thing, and I think the matchups clearly favor them. But again, it makes me scratch my head and think, why isn't it 3?
Right.
So we'll see later this week. Maybe it'll get up to 3, and then I'll say, okay, that's where it should be, and then we'll.
I mean, assuming there's a home field edge of a couple points, they're saying that on a neutral field, Louisiana Tech is a better team than Mississippi. Is that possible?
I don't see that as remotely possible. I haven't had a chance to check injuries.
Right.
And that is one fact that just creeped in my head if Mississippi has any significant injuries. But on the list I reviewed this morning, there was nothing that caught my attention.
Yeah. All right, and then in a game somewhat similar to the Kansas State game is Iowa as a home dog against Michigan State. Iowa, of course, beat Michigan outright as a dog last week. And here they are in sort of a similar situation. The line has gotten juiced a little bit towards Iowa. I think it's +3 -120 right now at Pinnacle. What do you make of this line? You think this is going to head down towards Pick'em?
Yeah, this line here is surprising a little bit too. Iowa and Michigan State I would have as a pick'em type of game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little surprised that Michigan State is favored on the road. Some of the line movements now have gone from +3 to +2. So I think you're right. I think it gravitates towards that pick'em area, which is where I think the line should be.
What's your take on this line? Southern Miss -10 over Central Florida. Now, Southern Miss last week, they were a double-digit road favorite against East Carolina, and both of the experts on the Experts Roundtable picked Southern Miss as a great bet. And I was a little bit surprised by that, but they covered. They won by 20. Now they're at home against Central Florida, a team that was expected to be very good this year, but they've definitely disappointed. I think that line opened at 10.5. Now it's down to 10 juiced on the side of Central Florida. What's your take on this line? There's definitely been early action on Central Florida.
Yeah, I think you're right, Pierre. I think now that you've gotten some real, I hate that word value, and so do you, but I do think that
I hate
Central
that
Florida now
word.
is being discounted too much. Let's use that word instead of value. They're
All
being
right, okay,
discounted
good.
too much.
That's not a great word either, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to come up with a better one for next week.
Yeah.
But, Southern Miss as a double-digit home favorite, I just can't trust. And it seems like the betting flows are definitely going on Southern Miss as we speak.
Right.
With about 65% of all bets being made on Southern Miss, and that raises a red flag immediately.
And then one other game, just what do you think? I got a little bit burned last week taking Colorado as a home dog. I actually read the form a bit and pulled back a lot of my bet, which I'm happy about, but I did have a little bit on it, and it lost, of course. Now they're a double-digit home dog, plus 11 to Arizona. Arizona is not USC, of course, and I did hit it again, and I'm tempted to think it's a good play. What do you make of that line?
Yeah, I lost with Colorado too last week, oddly enough. We must have been on the same page.
Yeah.
But I have this line opening at plus 13.5. Money's come in on Colorado as a home dog. I think double digits is a pretty good bet here. The play here would be to take Colorado.
Okay, and then I noticed the TCU Boise State game, not as competitive as former years. Boise State opened at 14, I think. That's the first line I saw. Now I see them up to 14.5 and juiced. What do you think? You think this line's going to come down to 14 or creep up towards 17 or even 20?
Oh, I think it's going to go higher, Peter, because the simple reason now is in the BCS standings, Alabama did not fall below Boise State.
Right.
And Boise State's going to have to do something with these weak opponents to be able to get into the BCS championship game. And the public sentiment's going to be that Boise needs to win this game by 50. Therefore, I'm getting an easy bet, an easy winner at 14. But that might be the trap.
All right.
But I do think this line is going to go 2 or 3 points higher, maybe more.
Okay. Are there any other lines that caught your eye for whatever reason or you think might have some value?
The Duke-Virginia game stands out. That's a 3 o'clock game. That line opened at 8.5. It's now 10. And I'm on the flow of that game. I think Virginia is one to look at. And again, I'm prefacing this by that I don't have all the research done yet, but this is one that stuck out that I think, given the situations of both teams, this is one that Virginia could easily win by 21 to 24 points.
All right. Okay, thanks. Let's move on to NFL, okay?